welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be all about where could I have gone wrong. So very often when we're losing weight it can come to a bit of a standstill and we're not really sure why. So hopefully today's video will be able to help you to work that out. So what I'm going to do is just list a few different things that could be potentially getting in your way on your weight loss journey on Slimming World. So I am going to refer to my list just to make sure that I don't forget any. So number one, the most common one is that you might simply just not be food optimizing 100% 7 days a week. So what I mean by that is very often we can make our own version of the plan and we might follow it, say Monday to Friday, but then come Friday we might not quite be on it 100%, but then we fool ourselves into thinking that we are. So the plan works if you follow it 100% for 7 days. 7, not 5. So it's trying to work out if the weekends are getting in your way, then how can you stop that? Also, you might not be getting enough speed food. So it's really common that people either get confused with what a speed food is. So for example, they'll have peas, or they'll have sweet corn, or they'll have parsnips, and they think they're actually having speed food. So ideally, 1/3 of the actual plate should be made up of speed food. So that's not having it on the side. It doesn't mean eating fruit before you have your meal. It doesn't mean eating it after. It physically means imagining your plate like a clock and imagine it at 4 o'clock. That smaller bit should be made up of speed food. So you would take some free food off and put speed food on the plate. Another thing people do, they think that if they just have a little bit of speed food within the meal but still have like a huge portion of pasta, huge portion of curry, that's going to be enough. Ideally, if you want really good weight losses, the more speed you choose, the better your weight losses are going to be. So if you actually put it on the plate, it's going to boost your weight loss because you're feeling full still and you've taken in less calories. So that's why speed food is so important. So number 3, eyeballing things. So what I mean by that is rather than actually accurately weighing and measuring things, you're actually just using your eyes as a guide. So for example, you might have say porridge oats for breakfast, and what you might be doing is rather than actually getting the scales out and weighing your porridge oats, you might just think, yeah, that's about 40 grams, that'll do. So very often it's not going to be accurate. Another example of that would be things like peanut butter or choc shot, and you might just get your spoon out, dollop it on and think, yeah, that looks about right, that looks about 2 sins, and actually it might be 10. So it's really important, whether it's sins, healthy extras, that you do weigh and measure as opposed to using your eyes. So another example of that would be milk. So I think quite a big sabotage for a lot of people is that they don't weigh and measure their milk. So sorry, I know I play with my hair a lot, it's a really bad habit. But yeah, you drink a lot of tea and coffee all day, but you're not actually measuring your milk, and you think, oh, it doesn't really matter, it's just a bit of milk, whereas actually it all adds up and it can be like 1.5 sins just for a little tiny bit of extra milk. So it's wasted sins really. So the best thing to do is make sure that you are measuring out your milk. Another just add on to that is that what sometimes people do is they think something's a healthy extra when it isn't. So they might think that a certain bread, for example, could be a B choice and it's not, or they might think a certain milk is a healthy extra A choice and it isn't. So just make sure you are carefully checking all your cereals, your breads, and just making sure that your milk that you're having is actually a healthy extra. So the next one, number 4, body magic. There's lots of misconceptions, and you can watch my video on body magic, but sometimes people can get in their heads that if they are doing loads of exercise, they can get away with extra sins, and again, it doesn't work like that. Or they can start thinking, well, you know, I'll go and do a run and I'll burn off like 400 calories, so that just means I know I've had my 15 sins, but I'll just have another 10 as well. No, that's not the plan. It doesn't work like that. So try not to fall into that trap. Number 5 is people that weigh themselves too frequently. So we've talked about weighing and measuring healthy extras and how important that is. Now we're going to talk about actually weighing yourself. So for it to be accurate, ideally you only weigh yourself once a week, and that's on the same set of scales at group, same day, same time if possible, and not weighing yourself every day. You can fluctuate so much in a day. After you eat something, you're going to weigh more. In the morning, you're going to weigh less. if you don't eat much on a particular day, you might weigh less, and the next day you might have a more carb heavy meal and then weigh yourself and think, oh my god, I put on weight. You haven't. People fluctuate daily, that's normal, and it's going to massively mess with your head if you weigh yourself too frequently. So wherever those scales are at home, go and hide them. This could be the reason why you're not losing weight. The next one is treat night. So, you know that night after group, or that day after group, where you think, just gonna get a little Chinese on the way home, or I might have an Indian, or I might have a chippy tea, or I might have a massive plate with loads of sweets and chocolates and things like that on it. But those sins don't count. It's fine, it's treat night. So the thing is with treat night, if you're losing loads of weight and you're a target member, or you're really, really happy with your weight loss and you can't get through your journey unless you have a treat night, then that's fine. You know, I'm not judging you. If you want to have one, you have one. This is all about making an adult choice. However, if you stopped losing weight and you are having a treat night, then that's going to be something you need to consider. I haven't found in the book where it says that treat night sins don't count. I don't know if you have, but I haven't. So there's no magic black hole. There's no place where these sins can fly into and they don't count. As soon as you get off the scales, you are stepping into your new week. So whatever you eat and drink after you get weighed is going to be within your sins. So if that's something you need to consider, then that could make a big difference to your weight loss. Also, we've got self-sabotage. So unconsciously, you could be self-sabotaging yourself. So this is where you think something might be a free food, but actually it's not. It could be that you've just simply forgotten that you've eaten or drank something. And that sounds really silly because people will be like, oh, you don't forget if you eat something. But I do. When I come to do a food diary late at night, I'll conveniently forget that I've had something that's going to take me over my sins, and I might not write it down. Or it could be things like kids' leftovers. So if there's an extra chip or a sausage or something on the plate and you're thinking, don't really want to throw that away, I think I'm just gonna pop that in my mouth and forget that I've even had it, then that would be something to consider. All these little hidden extras, they really, really add up. So the best thing to do if you're not sure if you are accidentally self-sabotaging is to use what we call in group an SAS log, or you can use a food diary, or you can buy a journal and write everything down. So another one would be dieting. So Slimming World's not a diet. I couldn't have dieted for 16 years. Slimming World is a way of life where you can lose weight but also keep it off. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you get into new healthy grooves and new habits. If you try and diet all week and then blow out at the weekends, or if you're being too strict in general, very often then you can't maintain that and you end up just blowing it. So the key to Slimming World is to make sure you get into new healthy grooves and you're changing your lifestyle. So if the old you would have gone out and had loads of pizza and then had ice cream afterwards, or eaten like a big meal and then always having dessert, even though you know it's going to take you massively over your sins, if you're still doing that, you haven't changed your lifestyle. So occasionally, yeah, we all need flexible sins. I'm not saying you can't do that. But if you're still trying to fit your old life into the plan and lose weight and you've not really made any changes, you're going to find it difficult. So the whole idea is that we are changing our lifestyles and we're changing how we eat and drink, because we know it's going to make us happier when we get to target. So another one would be things like heaped tablespoons. So we talked earlier a little bit about healthy extras and weighing and measuring. Same thing goes with your sins. I did briefly touch on it earlier, but it can be things like if you're cooking and you're having like flour and you've added too much flour, then that's something to consider. Choc shot is another one. I absolutely love it. But if you're not actually physically getting some measuring spoons and measuring accurately, if you're just using a dessert spoon, if you've got 10 dessert spoons and laid them out, they'd all be different sizes, so that's not actually accurate. So you either get proper weighing and measuring spoons, or you physically weigh it out, and then you make sure that you are accurately counting anything that you need to. Also, eating out can be a bit of an issue. So sometimes you might have thought that you'd made a really, really good choice, but there's some hidden sins in there. So there could be oil, there could be dressing, you might have forgotten to ask for the dressing on the side, and then you're starving, so you end up eating it anyway. You might think something like, I don't know, in Turtle Bay is just something that's come to my head now. They do like rice and pea and like a chicken dish, and you might think, oh, that's healthy, it's rice. But actually it's cooked in loads of oil, or it's got added fat to it. So it's just being careful and using your power as a customer really, just to make sure that you're asking, can I have the dressing on the side? What's it cooked in? Is it cooked in oil? Can I have the tomato based sauce, because that's going to be less sins. So just being really mindful when you're eating out. Another one, oh, alcohol. So what's your tipping point? What do I mean by that? So after how many drinks do you no longer care? So is it one and you're like, woo, that's it now, I'm gone, I'm eating and drinking whatever I want, and the next day you've got a hangover and you feel like you can't go on living unless you eat your way through this hangover, then that could be something that's sabotaging you. A very, very common one is people that drink at home and they're not measuring. So they pull their glasses of wine out and they end up being like this big and counting 4 sins. Whereas really it's probably half a bottle and it's 15 sins. So not measuring your alcohol at home could be a really, really common one. So the final one is going to be not checking your sins before you eat or drink something. So this is a really common one. You'll eat something and you'll think, oh, that's sin free, or it's only 2 sins, and then actually you find out it's more like 10 or 15. So it's always best to get on the app, get on the website, or double check in your book the sin value before you eat and drink something rather than after. So I hope that video has helped you discover where it could be possibly going wrong for you. Don't beat yourself up if any of these things apply to you. It's just fascinating and you can learn from it. So if it has helped you, if you just give this video a quick thumbs up to help support my channel, or leave a positive comment, or you can subscribe for more free videos. So thank you so much for watching and happy fopping.